This is a Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle Show Quick Fix on Radio Influence.
Well, someone was asking me to, we didn't mention this because it got lost, but a few days before in Orlando, that singer, that young girl from the TV show The Voice was murdered.
That was sad.
At her own concert.
Yes, very sad.
That's a major story, and she was pretty up and coming star in the industry. Drew a lot of big crowds everywhere she went. She opened for people like Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande, and she was an up and coming star in the business as far as in the pop rock, pop music culture. And she was killed in front of her brother, by the way. Her brother's the one who tackled the guy after he shot his sister. He was her, I guess, her road manager or roadie or something, or merch guy on tour with her, and she was signing things for fans, and the guy came up and shot her. Unbelievable. Terrible, tragic story. She was a young girl, beautiful girl, too. Like I said, if you go to social media-wise, she had a huge following, hundreds of thousands of followers. And that's a major story that I wouldn't say got, buried, but obviously, 50 people a few miles away, and it's in Orlando as well. Orlando had a bad week, Don Tony. So that was a major story as well, and that guy killed himself. So that was a stalker, kind of situation, a different kind of situation. But people were asking me about, about the clubs and the violence and the guns and all that stuff. And the guy was killed at Irving Plaza here in New York at a T.I. concert. So it just seems in the last couple of weeks, clubs and venues and stuff. But really, honestly, and I think the president said it yesterday too, people aren't safe in a church. They aren't safe in an office party. They're not safe in a gas station and a Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, it just seems like this can go on anywhere. There's, crazy people are going to get their hands on guns, and unfortunately, there's stalkers of celebrities all over the place, and that's why they have personal bodyguards. That girl isn't as famous as some of the people I named, but she was up and coming, and even I think once you're on TV, and you know this, Don Tony, once you're on social media, your picture gets floated out, or you get a lot of likes or whatever. Some people take it one step further, especially with these young women. They have these Lonely Hearts Club guys. We joke about this on the show all the time, and the basement dwellers are the people who are, inflatable dates, and we all make jokes and stuff. But there's some guys who really take it very far and actually become a real, torturous thorn in the side of some of these women, celebrities, and these younger girls, these girls who were on Disney, and now they're making albums, the Miley Cyrus types and stuff. And some of these things go to another degree. Don Tony, you remember, you're old enough to remember Rebecca Schaefer from the TV show My Sister Sam?
Sounds familiar.
You remember that from back in the day?
Sounds familiar.
She was killed. Pam Darber from Mork and Mindy was on that show. She had a second TV series in the 80s, My Sister Sam, and that girl Rebecca Schaefer was killed by a stalker fan. That's really what started it. Actually, the actress Teresa Saldana, who died recently, who, Don Tony, I know you saw Raging Bull.
Yeah, I paid tribute to her on Wednesday.
Yeah, and Teresa Saldana passed away, and I did too, because she was in one of my favorite movies, Defiance, with Jan Michael Vincent, which was a gang movie here in New York that came out in late 70s, early 80s, about the Warriors and the Wanderers, gets all the publicity. But if anybody wants to see a good gang flick, check out Defiance with Jan Michael Vincent and a very young Danny Aiello, by the way. One of Danny Aiello's first movies after Fort Apache, the Bronx. And Teresa Saldana was brutally stabbed outside of her car while her husband was in taking a shower, not even hearing the whole thing. She was walking to her car, and she was stabbed multiple times. A office supply delivery guy saved her while everybody else stood around while she was stabbed in front of maybe 50 people on the street. And this was in 1982. And there's a movie about it, Victim for Victims. You can check it out on YouTube. It's a pretty brutal scene to watch. It's reenacted where Teresa Saldana played herself in the stab scene, and it's very hard to watch, actually. I just watched it the other day, and I said, wow, for 1982, this is very graphic. But she wanted to, for people to realize that, this was a real situation, and she started the thing Victim for Victims and shed a light on not just actresses, but women who were stalked by men and spurned the advances of men, and guys didn't know no meant no, and they just tortured these women and this goes on for years sometimes behind the scenes, and she really shed light on it. She died recently from cancer, and like I said, more is coming out about this guy who killed this girl, Christina, And it's really a tragic tale. That girl's career just started, and I don't know if she would have been the next Madonna or the next, but that's not the point. I mean, just so senseless. You got to admit, Don Tony, just those kind of things are just as tragic as anything else. To get snuffed out like that by somebody who, quote unquote, loves you so much they wanted to kill you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? There's a lot of mental illness out there. I talked about it earlier. Mental illness is rampant in this country. And I don't know what they're going to do. What can you do to stop it? I mean, there's always going to be tragic events like that. But, yeah, that was something else that happened. And like I said, it's another nightmare for anybody who works in a club. It's a nightmare scenario for a security guy or a promoter or a club owner or whatever. Don't kid yourselves. Everyone who I know works in the club business wants people to be safe. Matter of fact, I know guys that I work with, the best kind of nights is when people go home and everybody had a great time and people are leaving with a smile on their face, had a great time and get home safe, and everyone writes a great review about the show the next day. Everyone gets things like club guys are indifferent to people and everything. I think that everyone's devastated when stuff like that happens at somebody's venue. Everybody has the same feelings and has sisters and has family. And, like I said, it was a tragic thing. I didn't know the girl's music, but I looked up her career and everything, and she was definitely up and coming in the industry. And I think, unfortunately, her story has gotten, no pun intended, buried because of, 50 people were killed a few miles away in Orlando. And I know we have I think we have some listeners in Orlando, right, Don Tony, who listen to our show? We have some Florida people, and I know that's that town, that area is definitely going through a rough time right now.
The Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, and RadioInfluence.com.